Tonight, Whyalla receives vital rehabilitation services in the fight against ice. And thousands of oyster hatchings stolen from a West Coast farm as the industry battles a stock shortage.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Whyalla will be one of 3 regional centres to receive ice rehabilitation beds as part of the government's Stop the Hurt program. Locals have welcomed the announcement, saying it'll help those with addiction recover in a comfortable environment.
Earlier this week, police were given extra tools in the fight against the trafficking of ice. Now the attention shifted to supporting those who are addicted to the drug across the region. Rehab beds will be set up in the city, bringing crucial treatment services into country SA.
There's going to be 18 beds in total. 6 of those will be in Mount Gambier, 6 in the Riverland and 6 in Whyalla.
Port Pirie will also host a number of outpatient appointments and will also service Peterborough. The services will be managed by Life Without Barriers and Uniting Communities, which specialise in drug and alcohol addiction treatment. A need for beds was a common concern at an ICE forum earlier in the year.
Was part of that take-home message that we do need additional services in country South Australia, so I'm very pleased that that message was heard.
In the past, country patients were forced to travel long distances to the city for help with their addiction, costing time and money. But with meth rife in regional communities, Mr Hughes says the fight to end addictions can now start locally.
It'll be welcomed by the community. There's a tangible expression of support for those people going through a difficult time with drug use.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The school bell at Barraba Primary School will ring for the last time at the end of the year after it was announced it will close down. This weekend, teachers and students from the past and present, along with the community, will celebrate the school's rich history and to say goodbye.
Closing the school gates for the final time. Students will leave the campus for the very last time on December 15 after 138 years of educating local children.
The community support the school really, really well, so it will be a big loss to the community.
It's sad because it's a very old school. It's been going for a very long time.
At its peak, 127 students filled the classrooms.
The school's closing because over the last few years the numbers of students attending has fallen, and so it's got to the stage where the numbers are getting so small that economically it's not viable to keep school open.
With only 11 students spread across 2 classes, the Barraba Primary School will amalgamate with Laura Primary School at the end of this year.
We've had a couple of children leave to Laura School already, getting used to the new school.
This weekend, the public is invited to farewell the school at a cabaret event where the Barraba campus will come alive with music performed by the students.
It'll be a very last one, so we're going to celebrate the excitement of going to another new school.
We've got displays of memorabilia, old rolls, photographs in the classrooms. The classrooms will be open for people to look around.
Discussions are being held as to whether a new caravan park can be built on the site once it's vacated. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
The state's Regional Development Minister has labelled the Mid-North and the Upper Spencer Gulf as SA's economic corridor. It comes as he launched a new initiative in the hopes of attracting more investors to the region.
What the Silk Road was to China is what Jeff Brock believes 2 wells to Whyalla will now be to South Australia.
I'm just very passionate about what we're doing here. I see a great future and we need to actually harness that now, and let's get on this train.
The 2W2W compendium and supporting video was revealed at Port Augusta's SEGRA conference today, a campaign to drive industry growth in the region. The minister says it's part of the state's investment toolkit in a bid to lure investors both domestically and internationally.
This corridor has got all the attributes already made, and so why aren't we using it and promoting it? And that's what I've been doing. Launched it today, and I'll be promoting that as we go forward from here on in.
The government is boasting $6 billion investment growth in the 300-kilometre economic expanse from 2 wells to Whyalla.
We're actually now going to, when we're talking to overseas trades, we're talking to potential investors and renewable energy projects for the Upper Spencer Gulf. We just heard today at this conference, the great opportunities there.
Zen Energy President and Economics Professor Ross Garneau attended today's sessions and says the region's growth is what he's predicted for years.
This is of global interest, and the Minister's statement draws attention to the integrated nature of what's happening. It has so many parts, but they're linked to each other.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Thousands of juvenile oysters have been stolen from a farm at Smoky Bay on the west coast. The stock, worth upwards of $15,000, was taken in the midst of an oyster shortage.
10,000 oysters gone, leaving the local industry reeling.
Someone knew what they were doing and they hit the small oysters where they can get the volume.
James Boylan operates his oyster farm in Smoky Bay, just south of Ceduna. When taking friends out to check on the stock at the weekend, he was shocked to discover thousands were missing.
I come across my nursery area where there was a lot of oysters missing in 2 racks.
The thieves made off with more than 450 baskets of juvenile oysters. Police suspect someone within the industry is to blame.
They've left the spats alone, they've left all the larger oysters alone and specifically targeted the smaller oysters, which we believe would then be grown to be sold at a later date.
And they say it's clear they knew how to deal with the haul.
They've actually taken them out of the cages, put them either in a bin in the boat or the boat itself, and then they've taken them to, we suspect, either another oyster lease or they've bagged them up and shipped them elsewhere away from Smoky Bay.
The theft is another setback for the oyster industry as farmers battle with a supply shortage due to the outbreak of the Tasmanian POMS disease. It's already forced some farmers out of business, while the pressure mounts for others.
There's a shortage of spat and young oysters as it is, and this is only going to compound it. And when there's not much of anything, it becomes a lot more valuable, especially to the people that haven't got any money or cannot get their hands on stock.
Police will continue to investigate Mr. Boylan's property and further inspect the basket lines. The number of stolen juvenile oysters could be much higher than first thought.
Well, it's going to cut us short. We said 10,000, but that's underestimating actually what was there.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, some good news for the local seafood industry as an oyster farm is opened in Cal. That story next. Well, in some good news for the local oyster industry, Air Shellfish has officially launched its hatchery, which will help fill the gap created by the POMS disease outbreak in Tasmania. Management says it'll help make the local industry self-sufficient and protect it from another deadly outbreak.
As POMS virus wreaks havoc in the eastern states, South Australia today began a recovery mission. Air Shellfish's hatchery is officially open, with oyster spat to hit growers in a few weeks.
The progress has been stunning. So 9 months, we have about 90 million oysters in the hatchery at the moment. It's been fantastic.
Water's pumped in from nearby Franklin Harbour with nutrients added in the tanks to help the spat grow. There's also a spawning program underway, with stock selected based on its genetic prowess. The facility is capable of producing 400 million spat a year.
We'll produce every 5 or 6 weeks, but overall we can do about 400 oysters, 400 million oysters. At any time there would be 100, 120 million oysters in the system at once.
Previously the EP was dependent on Tasmanian spat. Mr. Bowers says it means growers are now no longer reliant on the east.
You can't sustain it relying on imports from Tasmania or other states. So have a facility which is a world-class facility based here for the Eyre Peninsula is a big plus.
The local MP says with nearly 100% of South Australian oysters grown on the Eyre Peninsula, the new hatchery will only enhance the area's reputation as a quality seafood producer.
What we've seen here from shellfish culture is the establishment of a hatchery, which will mean that we can source our spat locally.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
14 students have graduated with a Certificate 3 in Community Care at a ceremony in Whyalla. The 6-month course, funded through the state government, was run in conjunction with the local RDA. The students undertook industry placements to gain first-hand experience. The course is being hailed as a major success, with 11 of the 14 graduates already securing work.
I find it really rewarding. And these people deserve a good life as well as normal people. If we weren't there to help them, then they wouldn't be able to do anything.
Well, English artist James Capper has wrapped up his time in Broken Hill by running some unique workshops. The hydraulic engineering sculptor has been teaching the town's younger generation about the inspiration behind his work.
From filming at the line of load to teaching school kids about his mechanical sculptures, James Capper is a busy man.
The last week in the Radford Pavilion is a really fantastic week, and a week that allows me to cool down after like a heavy amount of like long days and filming and organisation logistics of the sculptures.
This week the artist has been demonstrating his movable sculptures to young locals, giving them a crash course in hydraulic engineering. While not as advanced as his four-legged crawler, the students were given the tools to make their own machines.
And they can sit down and I'll explain how I come about idea processing and coming out with ideas. And it's really to sort of try and get some sort of understanding of how to channel your mind to drawing.
The group also got the chance to take control of James's main attraction, Hydra Shuffle. Some battled to control the mechanical beast, while others were naturals.
It was very cool. I was a bit scared I was going to break it, but luckily I didn't.
It was pretty advanced, but it was pretty simple. Like, if you played games, like, you should get a hang of it. It was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, once you get the controls of it, it's really fun, and it's like really advanced technology, so it's a lot better and funner to control.
James will head back to England at the end of the week, but he's very keen to come back.
For me, it's been like an experience I'll remember for life. It's a fantastic place and fantastic people.
Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
In the news ahead, the TV stars paying Port Lincoln a visit. Details after the break. Residents across Port Pirie are being encouraged to step up and vote for projects to improve the town. The Fund My Neighbourhood initiative allows community groups to receive vital funds to offer services to the public.
Improving our streets, suburb and town. The local council is calling upon locals to help improve the neighbourhood and bring the community together.
We encourage everyone to get online and vote for their favourite project under Fund My Neighbourhood.
Various groups from across the region are hoping to secure funds from the Fund My Neighbourhood program, giving them the opportunity to receive one-off grants to help improve their facilities. The ideas range from arts and culture to sports and recreation, as well as transport, health and innovation.
Some 21 projects ranging from sporting facilities to playgrounds to even a walk up the bluff to the bluff from Napperby. The projects are somewhere worth between $10,000 and $150,000. Get online to see what they're worth. Have a look at what people are saying about them.
Residents are able to vote for up to 5 projects within 5 kilometres of their home.
Voting closes on the 20th of November and we're hoping that we'll find the results of that soon after that.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Some keen TV fans had an early start in Port Lincoln this morning to greet sunrise weather presenter Sam Mack. The South Aussie tried his hand at tuna tossing before venturing out to Neptune Island for a dive with the great whites.
Not quite the usual morning rush in Port Lincoln.
Love your work, Port Lincoln. Give yourselves a round of applause.
The town turning out to greet a sunrise of a different kind. Weather presenter Sam Mack throwing everything into his morning start.
I think I pulled a hamstring. Might be out of tuna tossing action for a few years. 7.9 metres, they said I tossed it. I think that's a typo. I think it was 17.9, but look, it's all semantics. We'll work it out.
Even impressing local judges.
He had a great throw for a first shot, that's for sure.
Sam and the Sunrise crew are visiting Port Lincoln to showcase the region, including some stars who call the city home during the year.
I love coming down here to kind of just recharge the batteries and start pre-season next month, so it's a really nice place to just kind of get away, bring my kids to enjoy some country life.
Tomorrow he'll venture into the deep to go toe-to-toe with a great white shark.
I've been thinking about it every night as I go to sleep, like being face-to-face with a shark. I'm a big animal lover, so to be close to a beast like that in its natural habitat is something that I think will be pretty special.
The event will be live from inside the cage, the Crow Star offering some rather safe advice.
Don't fall out the cage.
I won't be putting anything out of the cage.
The short trip to the region promises not to be his last, but just in case it is.
This is the last time you ever see me. Mum, Dad, I love you. And to the cats, I miss you. I'm leaving everything to the cats.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, after petrol prices skyrocketed across the region last week, there's been some much-needed respite for motorists. Here's Patrick with this week's Fuel Watch.
For most of our regional centres, things are shaping up quite well when we head to the Bowser. But unfortunately, here in Broken Hill and over in Whyalla, things have gotten worse. Starting with unleaded, and Port Lincoln is the first to see green, the price is down by 3 cents. It would be wise to shop around in Whyalla. The price is averaging $1.39, 9 cents more than last week. Port Augusta is sitting on $1.28, while Port Pirie has become the cheapest in the Gulf, hovering around $1.27. Kadina is finally on the way down, while here in the Silver City, prices are on the way back up. The state capital is performing well. Motorists are now paying around $1.35. It looks a lot better when we turn over to diesel. Port Lincoln is the only one to not see any movement. Whyalla is down to $1.29, Port Augusta $1.24. Port Pirie and Kadina are both sitting on $1.27, but here in Broken Hill we're seeing red. The price is up by almost 2 cents and stands at $1.34. Adelaide rounds out the board, seeing next to no movement. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you happen to find a spot that does sell unleaded or diesel for cheaper, let us know on our Facebook page.
Stay with us. After the break, Nicole has the weather.
Plenty of blue sky about today. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back to the weather now. A bit of cloud about today, otherwise there was plenty of blue sky on offer. Seeing the mercury reach a top of 30 in Port Augusta, a bit under in Whyalla for 26, a cooler one in Port Lincoln today for 22, 26 Port Pirie's maximum, and looking mostly sunny in Adelaide, reaching 24 degrees. To the satellite now, cloud over South Australia's southeast with onshore winds is triggering a few showers. On the Gulf waters, winds will be south-southwesterly up to 15 knots, seas at around 1.5 metres. The day is getting longer with sunrise at 6:27, sundown just after 7:40. A bit of a better day forecast for the region tomorrow. Clear skies on the way for Port Augusta and Whyalla, seeing the temperature push back up towards the 30s. Sunny weather in Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay, but a touch cooler for 25. Plenty of blue sky about in Broken Hill for 27. And looking like there'll be a bit of cloud about in Adelaide for 22. Looking ahead now, we're in for plenty of lovely weather in Port Lincoln before showers set in to wrap up the weekend. A great day on Saturday for Cleve with clear skies for 25. And in Woodena, the temperature will be dipping down slightly over the next few days, peaking at 29 on Sunday. The odd shower about in Whyalla to finish off the working week. Similar conditions in Port Augusta and Kadina, with cloud cover continuing through till the weekend. And in Port Pirie, the sun is trying to come out, but showers are lingering. Looking much the same in Clare as well. A bit of cloud on Saturday for 23. We'll be needing the umbrellas in Broken Hill. Showers kicking in on Friday through till Saturday. So Fraser, we can't escape the wet weather just yet. Showers hanging around over the next few days.
Rain jackets and umbrellas at the ready. Thanks, Nicole. And that is Southern Cross News for this Wednesday. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates a little later on tonight. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.